I'm here today to do my paired movie review for Moneyball. I reviewed the book for this last week. I'll try to link the video above and below for you. And I have to say, I was pretty happy with this movie and how it was adapted. It sticks pretty close to the story. It follows specifically Billy Beane and touches on Peter Brand and kind of their role in overhauling how baseball players are scouted to the Oakland Athletics in the early 2000s. It's based on the book of the same name by Michael Lewis, and I really enjoyed the book, so I was really curious to see how the movie went. I am going back to my normal formatting. I know the formatting in the book review is a little bit different because it's not fiction, but I'm going to go back to my normal formatting for the movie. I'll start with my 3 likes. My first like is that they kept the explanations of like the saber method and kind of why he was wanting to use it pretty consistent with what was presented in the book. While it was presented a bit differently just because the book wouldn't be able to translate over perfectly to a movie. There were a few things that were changed up, but they still kept a really solid explanation for kind of what they were doing and why they were picking these people and why they were using these stats. My other positive is that they kept all of the interactions between the scouts and Billy Beane. I felt these were really important because it did a really good job of showing the differences between what he was wanting to do and what the scouts were doing. And just it provided a lot of context for the traditions in baseball and how teams with bigger budgets were able to do more while teams with lesser budgets were able to do less. And then my third like was just the general casting of Brad Pitt and Jonah Hill as Billy Beane and Peter Brand respectively. I think they did a good job in those roles, and I think that the casting them was just a really good decision. I do have 3 dislikes for this. The first dislike was kind of the inclusion of Billy Beane's daughter in the movie. She's mentioned a few times in the book, but the way she's done in the movie feels more like they're grasping at trying to make Billy Beane a more likable character. And I wouldn't say that he needed to be likable. He was likable enough in the book, and he was just well respected because of because of why he had been drafted to the major leagues in the first place. And he also had the respect of being a really good general manager and having kind of the force of will and intelligence to make the teams the way he was. So I kind of felt like this softening of his character to try to make him more likable was kind of unnecessary. My second negative is that I did miss the way the draft for the new players was presented. They do talk about some of the new players over the course of the movie, but they don't talk about the way the rookie draft was done. And I really did miss that because I felt that had a lot of key points and a lot of key arguments, both for and against the system that they were talking about using and the system that they were trying to overthrow. And my third negative was the way that Billy Beane's history was done. In the book, I liked the way it was done, and they tried to translate it directly from the book to the movie, and just the way the movie was done, it didn't quite fit. The way it was done, I felt, didn't provide adequate context for exactly why Billy Beane wanted to do this new system and why he didn't like the old system. And I felt that probably could have been compressed and done in a different way to give the context you need without having some of these flashbacks that interrupted the rest of the flow of the movie. And it's really unfortunate because they did try to translate it over almost exactly from the book, and it did so well in the book, but it just did not translate well. So this is one of the few times where I'm going to say you needed to change it for the silver screen. And I think that would have just really upped my enjoyment of Billy Beane's character and his history. And that's all I have for likes and dislikes. I will move forward with the characters. Within the characters, what I'm doing specifically is talking about just the casting. Brad Pitt, I think, did a really good job representing Billy Beane in this movie. He did a really good job showing the focus, the determination, the intelligence, and the general force of will that Billy Beane was said to have used to craft this team. And like I said, I just felt Brad Pitt was able to convey that really well. However, I don't think Brad Pitt had the appropriate amount of intimidation as it was described in the book that Billy Beane had. And that's really my only fault with him. He otherwise does this character really, really well. And that's all I really have to say. So I'll go to Jonah Hill's character. He played Peter Brand, and I really enjoyed him in this role as well. He has that kind of schlumpy, nerdy air that really made him seem like a recent grad, or a grad with a more kind of scientifically or math-based background. And that's and that's kind of what Peter Brand's character is. I feel like he represented him well, as in terms of just what you would expect that kind of character to be like. I don't know if it's as true to how they tried to do Billy Beane's character, because there was a lot more description of Billy Beane's character than Peter Brand's. So the comparison isn't as easy for me to draw. And that's all I really have to talk about for characters. I'll move into my wrap up. I'm doing my usual. I'm doing the book to movie adaptation, and then I'm going to do the movie unto itself as book ratings. And I'll start with the book to movie adaptation. I actually found this to be not the worst, but not the best. My rating for this is 3.5 out of 5. And I'm giving it that because while there were a lot of things they stuck to closely, there were some things that they didn't have or had that I didn't think they needed. I would have gladly traded off having the extra time with his daughter in the movie with some of the draft scenes, specifically the rookie draft scene. So to me, like, that was such a big trade-off, and I felt like the scenes with the daughter were a little bit more unnecessary than adding that extra context with the rookie draft. But overall, it was a pretty good representation, which is why I'm able to give it the score I am. And then with that, I'll move into the movie adaptation score. For this, I'm actually doing the same. It's 3.5 out of 5. While it was enjoyable enough for me to recommend to people, I don't know if I'd necessarily watch it again. Brad Pitt and Jonah Hill did a really good job with their characters. I felt that they really brought those characters to life on screen. And the movie did a really good job of balancing out kind of the math and stats with the baseball. It was a really good back and forth of how are you making the team and then cheering for the underdogs, which I really appreciated. And really, it just was enjoyable overall. And that's all I really have to say about this guy. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.